Okay, so this video is for our vector value square project. That's what we're currently working on. In this video, I want to show you guys how to set up the basic design of this. So the basic design without all the shading is going to look something like this. You're going to need a ruler and a pencil. If you don't have a ruler handy, like a piece of mail, anything with basically a flat edge and you can write on will work perfectly fine as well. So, pause the video, take a minute to find that stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and get started here. And I'll show you guys how to do both ways in terms of ruler or just flat edge objects. So I'm going to work in the center of the paper here, and we're basically drawing a cross first. And so our cross is going to start at 0 on the ruler. Make sure you're on the inches side, looking at 0, going down and finding 6. You want to make sure your ruler is sort of parallel to the side here. So I'm going to start. So come down and stop at 6. I'm going to back it up a little bit. So we need to find the halfway point, and the halfway point is 3. So I'll make my mark right there. Okay. And we also need to have the cross going this way as well. And it also needs to be the same size. The whole thing relies on symmetry, so it's important that we have correct measurements. So I'm resting 3 on the horizontal line that I just drew, finding 0 again, and drawing it out to 6. Okay. So what you should have is a cross with arms that have 3 inches on each side. Okay. So I'm going to show you real quick how to do that without a ruler. So I'm just using a piece of mail that I found. And so you don't have to measure me, kind of just do your best guess of what you think 6 inches is. So I just made a mark like right here and right here. Once again, for trying to find the center of the paper here, and mark from here to here. Then I just kind of eyeballed it and just put a mark in the middle. So once again, you can do that for yourself. Line it up on the other side. Make sure that center mark is lined up with that first horizontal line we just drew. And from here to here, and that's your cross. It's a little smaller, but it'll get the job done. Okay, so let's jump back into our next part in this. So our next part is sort of designing the star shape. Looks a little complex. It's not really that hard to draw. I kind of follow simple steps. So the first thing you want to do is sort of draw out a V. Remember me saying too that this whole thing relies on symmetry. So it's very important as you work through here that things are the same. Like this shape right here should be the same shape on both sides. Okay. So I'm going to take my ruler, line this up here, here to here, and here to here. Okay. I'll do that for the bottom. I can turn my V into an X. Kind of allows me to make sure that these angles are the same. And once again, let's see a little more here. And once again, drop that down to that point. Okay, now for the sides, this space is already made for me just as a result of making these two shapes. So I can just line this up here. The next part, I need to make this basic diamond shape, which is pretty easy to do. We're just lining up these corners here. Okay. All right, so our next step after that, we need to float this X sort of out beyond this diamond right here. So I'm going to take this like that. You want to draw it nice and light because a portion of this gets erased and you don't want to have a dark mark there. It's going to mess up your project, okay? So nice light lines. Our next step in this is to sort of get this similar shape that's upside down. So our triangle sort of flips, right? So we have this upright triangle sitting here. So there's a measurement for that. If you put your roller down and you're putting like this area right here, if you put 0 like on that area, it measures roughly around 1.5 inches. So mine's a little off actually today, but if you measure at 3, okay, that's roughly the same amount of space from here to here, okay? So kind of make a mark for yourself on that line we just drew out, here to here, and here to here. We're going to do the same thing for the rest of these. Now, if you're not using a ruler, you just have a straight edged object, you can kind of just guesstimate, you know, maybe think about how much space is from here to here and just, you know, sort of put a line right there is totally fine. It doesn't have to be some exact measurement. As long as you're getting it pretty close, you'll be perfectly fine for this project, okay? So we're doing all 4 corners like this. Okay. All right, we have one last section to do, and that is these like little triangle shapes above, okay? So once again, there's no exact measurement for that. My best advice is sort of just try to make them all like pretty much the same. So just kind of make a mark just a little bit above our last triangle we just drew. We're going to connect this from here to here. Okay. And like I said, just kind of think about how much space is between this one. Just try to get this one, you know, similar to that. All right, the main part of this project is really just working with value, just getting more experience, getting more practice, being able to control the amount of pencil pressure you're applying to the paper to get varying degrees of value. But now we're starting to work with value to actually make it do things. Like for instance, in this one, this is more about like an optical illusion, creating a 3-dimensional looking space on a flat 2-dimensional surface of our paper, okay? So the one thing you need to make sure you cover is having at least 4 different values from our value scale occurring in your work. So I would definitely recommend having that value scale out, you know, checking as you go. Like I can see very obvious areas. Like I see a 1 like right here. We looked at, you know, numbering these values out. This is probably more like a 4 up here, you know, so on and so forth. There's 4 different values occurring. Now the second one is that idea of gradation. So it's that seamless, like smooth transition from dark to light areas. Like you can see it here in my drawing here. There's some here, here. And once again, you know, I started this new one. And the areas that are dark sort of recede, kind of get pushed down. And the lighter the areas are, they sort of get pushed up, okay? So you want to have like that push-pull in your drawing. I would recommend like pulling up my example. There's a slideshow in the assignment, just sort of looking at that and getting a better idea. But the idea of gradation, once again, we're sort of, you know, starting out what's called a mid-tone, right? So I want to go darker to lighter. So now I'm applying more pressure to the pencil. And as I move up in this space of this shape, I'm getting lighter and lighter and lighter, okay? And it takes a while. I'm going to speed this video up. So we're starting to have that idea of gradation here. You know, it's getting darker, it's going to lighter. And one thing you can also do, in art and drawing, especially with graphite, there's addition and subtraction. So we're adding on graphite. We can also subtract off. It's another method of drawing where you're taking an eraser. You're not really going in here and pressing hard. You're sort of just kind of grazing the surface. And you can create like more of like a highlight for yourself in here. So even further is that idea of that sort of blended gradation. Okay, so that's another option as well. All right, so once again, there's an example in the assignment. There's a slideshow, so I would definitely recommend looking at that and finishing up your piece. Thank you.